So we in the board had a brainstorm about doing this together, wanting to make it a collaborative event where people can share their experiences and we can inspire each other to find new ways to create sacred space. And what sacred space is to us is something we can discuss as well. So I'm hopeful that you will all share your own experiences with this and your own ideas about it. Before we get into the content, I want to make a few announcements. Our solstice celebration, which is free to members, will be on Thursday, December 18th at 4 p.m. And this is a ritual that we gather for to honor bringing in the light of the darkest night of the year. And again, this is something we will co-create. So bring stories, poems, prayers, songs, artwork, show and tell, whatever you can think of that would contribute to us creating sacred space together and honoring the light within us and the return of the light for humanity. So it's a beautiful time to gather. It's a time to share gratitude and just to be together. And our intention is to create an opportunity for us to hang in spirit together. So please join us. Let us know. There'll be a way to register on the website as usual, and you'll be getting emails about it if you want to join us. And for those of you who are professional members, we are looking for people who would like to be mentors. Once a month, we have a mentorship program where our professional members show up and share their wisdom, and people talk about their clients confidentially, of course, as a way to continue our growth together and to share some of the nuances that some of us have discovered along the way. So if you'd be interested in that, we'd love to have you participate. We're not going to have one in November or December because of the holidays, because we usually do them on a Sunday, and we know people are pretty busy this time of the year. So we'll start up again in January with our next mentorship. So that's the announcements. And I wanted to give a little framework for tonight. I've been thinking for myself about what sacred space is, and I came up with some categories of areas where we can actually make a difference in our sessions. And these are some of the things. Number one, of course, is intention. To bring the highest intention we have for the highest good of our client, for the highest good of our higher selves, being able to support the client, and for positive, loving, and healing outcomes. The second thing would be to create a sacred space for the environment. What kind of physical space do you have? If you're not doing it online and you're meeting in person, there's some things to consider like the cleanliness, the colors, the sound around you or the silence around you, whatever contributes to people feeling held in a safe, welcoming place. And hopefully there'll be some beauty involved as well that creates sacred space. And then to be very cognizant of our languaging and how we are phrasing things in a more positive, loving way, always moving towards what we want rather than away from what we don't want. That's something that people usually have a hard time with. When I ask clients what they want, they tell me what they don't want most of the time. So I try to reframe it into where do you want to go? Not where do you want to move from, but where do you want to go? Another one is boundaries, psychic boundaries. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but psychological boundaries so that you are not taking up space for the client. Um, you are not getting your needs met necessarily through the client, that you really do stay focused on the client and what's best for the client. And then there are the tools that we come up with. And I hope that some of you have brought your tools that you work with tonight and you can share it. And if you talk about it, that's great. But what we'd really like is to experience it. So if you have invocations or you have prayers or you have energy techniques that you use, please share them with us so we can all have a taste of it tonight and know for our experience what it is you're working with. So this is supposed to be fun and interactive and enlightening and energizing. So bring your best self to this, share who you are with what you do in your work, and educate us, stimulate us with your wisdom. And I've got a few things up my sleeve, but I'm not gonna start it. I'm gonna let you all start it, and I'll share a few things along the way too. I've been really thinking about this for a while, and I got some fun things to share tonight. So who would like to start? Who would like to share? How do you alchemize your sessions by creating sacred space?
I can
You can't
start.
all talk at once.
I can start since I have the shortest probably
Please
thing.
go for it, Kim.
Um, so you were talking about environment, and so most of my sessions are on Zoom, a lot of them. So, but I still think environment's important. So when you asked this question, I thought, wow, I don't really do anything. But then I thought a little bit more deeply, and I feel like I do. I feel like I connect to the land on a daily basis, and I feel like I weave that land into the energy of my sessions. And it, like I sometimes I'll hear a tree kind of brush against the window when I'm with a client, and I'll notice, or a hummingbird will fly out by the window at a particularly key time for the client. So I feel like nature is coming in because of that connection. And the one thing that I do before every session is super simple, and it's you do a figure eight, the infinity symbol, and you do it at your solar plexus. And that kind of brings in all of the higher energies, connects.
Could you show us how you do that?
Yeah,
The
right,
ability of it?
just right here at your solar plexus, and just do the figure eight right there.
Okay, in and out. Okay.
Yeah, forward like that, and it just kind of um, brings that beautiful energy from I guess the invisible realms. I can't see any of it, so to me it's invisible. But those beautiful
May I ask you a
wise
question
realms.
about it? When you have those nature experiences, are you acknowledging those in some way, or just utilizing them for your own sense of the space?
It depends. I did tell the client later about the hummingbird, but not during the session. I mentioned it later. And again, the same thing with the trees sort of brushing against the window. But I also felt other things were coming in, like the prism had rainbow lights on the wall, just other things. So I did share that, and they were into that kind of thing. So it was, I knew it would be okay. Um, and there's one other short, tiny thing that I do. Um, I try to do it consistently, and it's very simple. It's based on the idea of project, don't protect, and it's from a psychic medium gave this advice, and you basically just radiate from your heart, or maybe your solar plexus, wherever you're more comfortable. I do it from my heart. So you project beautiful energy from your heart. You don't protect yourself in any way, because if you're projecting, then there's no need to protect. You just radiate light. And I've tried to train myself. It's not consistent by any means, but I make a regular effort to do that.
Lovely.
I think it helps my clients too.
Thank you. Somebody else have some ideas?
I can share a few things. And it's kind of piggybacking off of what Kim was just saying about. So I see almost all of my clients as well online, so from Zoom. So creating the sacred space where I do my work from, I think is very important. Um, to be very mindful of my environment, and keeping my space clear and clean. So keeping this is going to sound simple, kind of like everyday stuff. But when I sat down to think about this today, I realized how I've kind of incorporated this into my life so much because I'm doing it almost every day. But simply keeping my office space clean and dust free as much as possible. Um, uh, I have a lot of crystals and things in my office, remembering to put them out on the moonlight, on the full moon once a month. I hope to keep the space nice and clear and clean. Opening windows and
Mm.
just getting the energy moving in the office. When I'm cleaning my office, also a feng shui practice, which is to move the furniture just a little bit so that there's no stagnant energy in the space. Um, and then some simple practical things like if I'm finishing with a client, I'm removing whatever was from that client from my area, and I'm having whatever's coming in next, so that I'm very focused on the client that I'm seeing next. So I'm cleaning, like if I have a file or notes that I've taken from the previous client, removing them and putting them off to the side. And in between clients, washing my hands. Like that is like a simple thing, but I am washing off what I just completed before I walk into the next thing. And then the obvious kind of ones that we probably all do and thought of, like, which is, either burning some sage or some Palo Santo to clear the space, or have sprays like right next to me for in between clients as well. Um, Sometimes keeping flowers or plants in the space as well to keep the energy light and lively. And what else? I think that's about it. Also, just making sure I'm nice and grounded and hydrated in between clients. So if I need to drink some water, if I need to eat something grounded, in between clients. And so those are some of my kind of simple practices. Oh, and one other thing. And I've been known to do this not only just in between sessions, but I might actually do it in a session. If I'm sensing something in the space, as you all know, even though we're not in the same room with somebody, we can still pick up on subtle energies. So I might use my copper dowsing rods or my pendulum to kind of gauge the energy of what might be going on in between or even in during a session. So that's all. That's all I have to share.
Can I ask how you do it with the pendulum? How do you measure that with the pendulum?
I'm
I'm
just
just
I'm
kind of new
testing.
to that.
Yeah, just testing my yes and no's, and then just asking are of the energies present right now in the best and highest good.
Oh, okay.
Or have I properly and appropriately cleared the space of anything that might be stagnant or lingering? So just asking those simple, yeah, questions.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of intention behind all that, Susan, that you've really
Yeah.
incorporated into your lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Susan, do you do that? Do you do that in the presence of the client, or this is before the client?
This is before all of this is, yeah, before the client. So
So
when
you
I sit down to
that,
focus with the client, it's just all about me focusing on the client and
thank you.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Welcome, Susan. Everybody who wants to is sharing their ways of creating sacred space for sessions.
I'd like to add something about the pendulum because I have been flummoxed by the pendulum in the past. I've never been able to really trust it. And so a colleague had mentioned to me a book called The Book of Pendulum Healing,
Ooh.
which I purchased. And it's by Joan Rose Staffen, Staffen. And I found it to be really quite helpful with lots of charts in it and lots of protocols to follow to help ask different questions and get specific answers. And so I have been following the suggestions in the book, and I'm quite pleased with now I finally can trust my pendulum that I'm not really controlling it. It's doing it on its own. But I found this book to be quite helpful after trying other books and other courses and so on. And no, not for me. So the Book of Pendulum Healing by Joan Rose Staffen. So
Love it.
a resource.
I'll just add one really quick thing. One of the reasons why I got the copper dowsing rods was because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't the one moving the pendulum. It's a little harder to trick the rods. So I feel you on that. Totally. Yeah.
Oh my. So for me, as you all know, I do a fair amount of spirit releasement work. And so one of my goals with every client is to make sure I'm a clear channel for the light. Because to me, that is critical. If I'm not a clear channel, then it's not going to work, or there'll be lots of problems that just the session will not go so well. And so right up front, I spend maybe 20 minutes clearing myself and my space, going through different prayers, different ways of calling forth the light to clear me out, to get me centered, make sure I'm protected, and then invite my guidance to join me. And I find this to be very helpful so that I'm not flying this plane alone, and can actually experience the presence of those from the light who are there to support me, to protect me, and to protect my client. Because it's all about making sure that we're both protected and in the light for all of this to occur as I like it to occur during the session. So I can later on share some of these in specifics, but it's just, to me, a very important part of preparing is making sure I'm ready and centered and in a good space, and know that all the good stuff is around, and I use a pendulum to help clear that space as well. So it's helpful.
I'll go. So lots of good things. I made some notes already. I love hearing these beautiful ideas and what people are using. One thing I do a lot of the things that have already been mentioned, but one thing that I do is a kind of a writing, a guided writing. And so I center myself, and I do this regardless of whether I have a client, but there's one part of it that specifically applies to clients. But I read or listen to something very that's spiritual or moving in some way, and then get centered, and then I write whatever it is that seems to be kind of maybe some sort of restriction or somewhere where I'm feeling blocked in any way, and then I ask for guidance on that. And I can always tell when it comes through. If it's very loving, then it's that guidance of what to do about that for me, so that I'm clear. And then I also then write my clients' names, and if there's anything while I'm in that flow state specifically that would be helpful to know before I even enter into the office or anything to work with those clients. And that way they're already on my mind. I'm doing it from that, what I feel is a very high vibrational protected state. So we're already, in my language, entangled in that moment in something that feels, yeah, high vibrational. And I don't, unless a client asks for it or specifically mentions it, I don't say protection so much in my sessions, only because I feel like what we're doing is so high vibrational, it in of itself is inviting in that energy. But certainly I have people who come in and just have real concerns about those kinds of things, and it's helpful to them to hear those words. And so, of course, in those cases, I do that as well.
Kim, if I could dovetail on that in terms of protection, as the session begins, we're now entering into hypnosis, and and I take clients up to a higher vibration, up into the fifth dimension. And if we encounter any fear or concern by the client up to this point, I'll invite the client to imagine herself. We'll invite Archangel Michael to join us. I'll ask the client to sense or feel or imagine him present. Then ask him to stand in front of the client, behind the client, on either side of the client, and basically all sides of the client, so that she is surrounded on all 6 sides by Archangel Michael. We then bring in a circle of fire around the 3 of us, so that we have a circle of fire around the 3 of us protected. And then we bring in the white light of God, the green light of healing, and the purple light of divine guidance, 3 more layers of protection. And then I bring in Master Jesus, pouring in the pureness of liquid gold as another layer of protection. So that by this time, the client, I hope, and typically it happens by this time, the client is feeling very safe, very protected, and ready to move forward. So I find that to be helpful, as well as protecting myself to make sure all is well for both the client and me. So that can be something for others to use if appropriate.
It's beautiful. I just thought of something I meant to add too, that I've only been doing it for a few months now, but I do this thing I call the set aside, and it's the idea of setting aside anything we think we may know about this session, this experience, and what's about to happen, and be open to the energy and experience of what is happening. And so often clients will come in and say, I need to meet this person at this time and this, and I'll tell them, well, we will always make the invitation, but who shows up is, that's the unknown. And so I like to kind of also prepare for that. And so setting aside the analytical mind and the, whatever we're creating in our human space is always going to be more limited than what happens when we've connected with our higher self and what they have to offer and bring in. So we never want to limit ourselves or the client. So that's kind of how I approach it with them to, yeah, really be in the experience as it is, not as it's, supposed to be.
Mm.
If I could add towards the end of the session, again with sacred space, I will call upon the cleanup teams of light at the very end of the session. And let me share this with you. In the name of the light, I call on the cleanup teams of light. Move deep inside and clean and cleanse every cell of Barbara's physical body, every aspect of her mental, emotional, etheric, and higher bodies, every chakra level, every compartment of mind, every track of emotion. Lift the residues left by all those who are violating her space. Disconnect any less threads of consciousness from any other being into her being. Remove any accumulated sludge that left behind. Anything that's not purely of Barbara's own being, because she has the right to her own sovereign space to move forward on her own chosen path in this life and future lives. She has the right to be free. So as she moves through the teams, leave every part of her filled with light. In the name of light, we thank you. In the name of light, I call on the physicians of light to touch in and repair what can be repaired. I call on the healing angels of light to touch in and heal what can be healed appropriately at this time, packing with a solid salve of light in all the places we've cleared and healed today. I call on the perfect physician to restore the perfect pattern of body, mind, and spirit within Barbara. And I ask the healing angels now to fill her with healing light in all those areas vacated by those emotions or other things that have departed. I ask the healing angels to make the healing light a sealing light of a permanent nature. I also ask that some of the healing angels, as many as are needed, remain with Barbara until the healing is complete. I ask the band of mercy to send a Holy Spirit of healing into her aura and cleanse that. And I call on the Divine Mother to enfold her in light and love, touching into her pure heart, restoring the beauty of her sweet being, the essence of this child of God. And there's an effort to just clear out the debris of what is now ready to be released by the client. And I find this to be quite helpful.
Carol?
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm more in the vein of what Kim does, of radiating the light. I learned this from the Light Center at Black Mountain. It's called the effective prayer. So I use that as part of my invocation. And when I do that, it's not just me radiating my light. I'm asking my subject to also radiate his or her light. And the idea of that is, as she mentioned, that when we radiate our light, part of the effective prayer is, only light can come to me and only light can be here. So it's, again, it's not a means of protection, but just knowing that this is a universal law. When we radiate our light, that we automatically attract light to us, and and when we ask that only light can come to us, even dark energies have light within them, so we attract that part of them to us as well. The other thing is, I learned this through Sanaya Roman. I did a lot of classes with her work, and one of the things I learned from her was to let the person, speak their intention. Very important to state that intention, but sometimes people are in their heads when they're doing their intention, so they need to get that out. And then I always ask them, also think about, and this is the part that comes from Sanea, whatever is for your highest good and greatest joy.
Mm.
The two things together, because that bumps it up another notch. And then Kim will, back me up on this. When we did quantum consciousness training, the wording the intention to get it to such a high vibration, it's like radiating our light. It's going to attract the very best thing for us. So I have found those two things so very powerful, um, and just brings the highest energy that we could possibly imagine.
Thank you, Carol.
I was.
Does anybody else want to share?
Well, I just want to say after these sessions, I always have a list of people to look up, books to read. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Carol. Okay. But it's wonderful, isn't it, to have these other resources? I love these gatherings. There's always something to learn and take away and even try out. Sometimes I'll hear something and think, oh, I don't know. But I like to try it and see what comes of it. I just want to say thank you, guys.
So one of the things I keep hearing from so many of you is it's all about vibration and energy. And what I've been studying is about elevating our energy as a way to sustain that sacred space and also to entrain our clients into that frequency. We are setting the vibrational field with our intention. And it's really important that we, like Susan talks about, keeping yourself clear when you go in. And you were talking a lot about, Peter, too, to clear yourself so that you can embody that frequency in honor of yourself and your client and supporting that that entrenchment that's part of the quantum field, that we're one. So you can support people lifting their energy. And there's also a thing about when we are doing the work, people are releasing energy. They're releasing debris. And I have a technique that I've used for 40 years that comes from the tradition of Alice Bailey. And I'm going to do it with all of you right now so you can experience it. And I've probably done it for some of you before because I bring it into groups a lot. And it's working with the soul star above your head, which is a representation of your higher self, and a vortex of energy that starts 30 feet above and moves 30 feet beneath. That is a cleansing mechanism. So as the client is releasing and transforming, the debris of that is vortexed into the earth where it can be used in the ecology of energy with the earth spirits. It's their food. It may feel like our debris, but that's their food. So there's an ecological way to work with the energy that's going on in our sessions. And it's another way to look at it is energy hygiene. So I will do this with you, and then I have a few other things I'd like to share. That I'm going to have my husband come in and show you some muscle testing that is quite interesting to show how our thoughts are having an effect on our clients. So we'll get to that in a minute. Well, let's do this vortex together. And it starts with the soul mantra. And I'm going to share my CD that I created that has this on it. You guys can have a free download on it. I'll show you how to access it. So you can use it for yourself. I use it with my clients. I invoke it for my clients. And you can also use it for space. And on my CD, I have the process of how to clear space. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Okay, so here we go. We are the soul. We are the light divine. We are love. We are will. We are fixed design. In the wisdom of our souls, we activate a star of energy 6 inches above our head that represents our higher self. In the wisdom of our soul, we place a vortex starting 30 feet above us, moving 30 feet beneath us into the earth. This vortex is a part of energy hygiene. It helps us stay present, focused, and protected as we do this work together. In the wisdom of the soul, we place a star of energy way above the earth and imagine our individual stars are connected to the soul star of our group through beams of light. So we are also connected to the higher self of this group consciousness, and the quantum field is activated. We ask that all who are present are turned over to their higher selves, and the highest good and joy comes for each of us. So be it. And that's how I start a session with clients often. And you can use this in your space. You can clear your office, you can clear your home. And on my CD, I give you the full instructions of how to do it, including that little prayer that started it. You start by clearing the energy in your space by taking noisemakers, pots and pans, whistles, drums, rattles, flutes, whatever makes noise, and go through the whole perimeter of your house or your environment, breaking up the energy that's been there. You're breaking it up. So you go through the whole rooms, and this is really fun to do with a group of people. So you can have your family or your friends do it with you. Have an energy clearing party if you're moving into a new space. It's really a wonderful, fun thing to do. So everybody's being really loud and ruckus and clearing the energy, and then you gather in the center of the space and talk about the soul star, and then do the soul star so that everybody's connected and that there's a star above the space and a vortex. Then you have people take little vases with 1 or 2 flowers and a little votive candle and make an altar in every room, bringing the light in and bringing the beauty in. And then you imagine the soul star in the vortex and activate it, clearing the space of all the energy that's just been released, moving into the earth. And after you clear the energy with the vortex, people can go around the perimeter place their hands on the walls, and say prayers for what the intention is for the space you're creating, for healing, for community, for creativity, for peace, for new beginnings, whatever it's for, as a blessing to the house. And you let the votive candle burn down, and then remove the flowers when they've had their life cycle. So that's the process. It's a beautiful ritual to do with the group. And I'm going to bring up my CD so you can have access to it, show you how to find it on my website. So just a sec. Okay, this is the welcome page to my website. It's hypnotherapytraining.com. Go to the resource button. Go to the CD downloads. And this is a free, all of these are free downloads for anybody who's interested. But the one that I'm connecting with today is the chakra balancing, grounding, and spiritual protection. This whole thing is audio, and you can listen to it and do it for yourself. It's also in my book if you have my book. So you have access to the little prayer. So that's one thing. The next thing I want to show you is muscle testing, and I have my husband on pause. He's going to come up and demonstrate this for you guys. So I'm going to go get him. Hopefully he's ready. I'll go get him. Paul, can you come up? They're waiting. You up the stairs. Hurry up and. Going to talk about the book called Power versus Force. Are any of you familiar with that book?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about frequencies in a little bit, but I'm going to demonstrate how our frequency and our intention is having a literal direct effect on our client. This is Paul, for those of you who haven't met Paul.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Oh, okay. So he's going to put his stronger arm out.
I don't have a head.
It's okay. We just need your body right now.
Okay.
Okay, so when you muscle test, it's one on each side. He's going to be strong, and I'm going to put pressure on it. Ready?
Go.
Just be neutral. Okay, now say my name is Paul.
My name is Paul.
Okay, say my name is McGillicuddy.
My name is McGillicuddy.
No. So it's strong for true and weak for false. Okay, now you're going to think negative thoughts about yourself for just a minute. Poo-poo thoughts. You're coming into therapy and you're really depressed and you're really upset and nothing works and you need help and you're not sure it's going to help now, but you're here anyway and you're paying all this money and you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm bummed about it too.
You're a bummer. Okay, in that one, got it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now think positive, loving thoughts about yourself.
Hmm.
And be strong when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? That's a
Yeah.
good shift. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, strong again. All right, now close your eyes. And we're going to think thoughts about you.
Okay.
Ready? When you're ready, be strong.
Okay. Strong.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
That was the weakest one
Oh
yet.
my God, that was weak.
Careful, you guys. You don't know your own power.
Now close your eyes and be strong again. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, rest your arm for just a sec. Now, you're going to puff yourself up with your own magnificence.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see how resilient you can be independent of how we're thinking about you, so that you have your sovereignty energetically.
Oh, I see. Right.
So you're going to.
So as opposed to when I've been weak, I haven't been given the opportunity to pump myself up.
No, you're gonna take responsibility for your own energy now, and you're gonna fill yourself with your own magnificence.
Okay.
Embody it. And the question is, why aren't we doing this all the time, right, guys? Okay, so when you're ready, be strong with your magnificence.
Mm-hmm.
And be strong, put your arm out when you're ready. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, give a rest if you need it. When you're ready, we'll do it again. Ready? Strong. Okay, so we're going to end with one more. We always end with love and positiveness. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey,
Have fun, gals and guys. I see.
Guys,
thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Good.
okay, so this is part of our sacred space, our energy system, right? And when I have a client come in who's real poo-poo and negative and, woe is me, I teach them this because I show them how they are perpetuating their own limitations. And I also know from testing people when I'm thinking negatively about them or being critical or judgmental, that I am having a limiting effect on the therapy. So this is another way that I try, and I'm not always good at it because I have my own edges, but I try always to bring my highest, best self to the table and to hold the client's highest, best self, even if they don't have access to it yet. You guys have any questions about that? Yes, Cindy. You got to unmute yourself. There you go.
Is there any way to test that on Zoom? Because that's when you're in person. So is there a way to possibly check that out?
Well, I'm not very good at muscle testing. I don't have systems, but I know my acupuncturist does remote testing on herself. She uses her own fingers. So there are systems and ways that you can do that and learn about it. It looks like Carol's got a suggestion.
Are you familiar with the O-ring test?
Is it like that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a way to do self-testing. I find it works very well. I use it on Zoom or in person. And what I like about it is it empowers the client to feel very strongly for themselves the yes and no's. And even if it is like an in between, I show them how to pay attention to those in between feelings as well.
It takes a little practice.
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate that?
Carol, can you demonstrate it?
Yes, you take your little finger and your thumb on your non-dominant hand. Then you take your index finger, wait a minute, index finger and thumb on the other hand. So you're making like an infinity. Your intention is to, with your dominant hand, to try to break the connection on the non-dominant hand. And like Holly did, she asked, I do the same thing. Say your name, test it. Say, a wacko name, test it. So you want to be able to get some clear things. I'm actually working on a program to teach that. And I haven't completed that yet because I'm actually taking a kinesiology class to fine tune it a little bit.
I mentioned the book Power versus Force. Here it is. I want to share another resource with all of you. This research is working with muscle testing surrogately, meaning you don't even have to have the person there, to test a person's frequency level. And there's a chart here that talks about different frequencies and vibrations in a hierarchical way. The highest one is enlightenment, and the lowest one here is shame. So there's a whole diagram that shows you, and it shows you the different numbers for the frequency. So what you do is you test to see what somebody's numbers are. When you get a yes, you know that they're in that frequency. And he uses this like if you're going to vote for someone, you might want to test what their frequency is to see what would be the best person to vote for. So it could be very practical application.
Mm.
So this book is the basis for a website that I would like to share with you called flfe.org. And it stands for Life Force, FLFE. Focused Life Force Energy. That's what it is. Focused Life Force Energy. And it is a system that you can subscribe to for $35 a month, but for 2 weeks you can have it for free with no credit card. That will be radiating through the quantum field a frequency of love. So your environment is imbued with that constant frequency of love. So it has a positive effect on your mental state, on your physical health, on your sleep, on your animals, on your plants. And I've been doing this for about 6 months now, and many people I know have started doing it. And there is also a fabulous aspect of this, which is studies have been done both in the United States and in Europe on this system to show that it will mitigate the effects of the EMF fallout that we have from all of the radiation we're getting from our electronics. People who have radiation sensitivities to EMFs who are physically ill and can't even function, all that's mitigated with this system. And one of the people who's doing the most research is Gary Schwartz, who was at the University of Arizona. He was the head of a laboratory that was doing studies for many years on survival of consciousness after bodily death. He is a very renowned scientist. You can look him up, Gary Schwartz. And he left his job at the university to work with this FLFE organization. And he's the head researcher now that's doing the research on the effects of this system. So try it out if you're interested. If we can elevate ourselves in any way, I'm all for it as long as it's a healthy way to do it. And the people that I know who started doing this, I think there's only one person who didn't want to continue. She felt it was just too much energy for her.
And once again, the website is FLFE.
FLFE for Focused Life Force Energy, FLFE.org. Go on YouTube, put FLFE in as a search. There'll be tons of information, research, interviews, client interviews, the creators' interviews, and the business is functioning on a very new age, if you want to use that term, philosophy. It is when you join, you can give this gift to somebody or some environment for free. It's a kind of a non-hierarchical organization that's really modeling the future of what businesses are. Anyway, that's my personal plug. I don't have anything to do with it financially. I'm a fan because it's working. And if you're going to want to elevate your energy, this is a great way to keep it constant. 2 times a day, you can give yourself a boost and go up even higher than the love energy. There's one 2-minute boost that I do every morning when I do my self Reiki. And then there's a half an hour boost that you can do if you want to, again, lift the frequency around you for a short amount of time. So those are my contributions today.
That's part of your monthly fee that you pay?
The $35 will hook you up to the computer so that they will, through the quantum field, generate the energy in your environment. And if you don't want to do it to an environment, you can do it to an object like a ring you wear or a phone that you carry around. So wherever you are, 800 feet around you will emanate that energy wherever you are. It's all working with AI and quantum consciousness. It's very, very on the edge technology.
Terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Holly,
Yes.
what have you experienced since you've been having it?
Much better sleep. Much, much better sleep. I was waking up at 4 in the morning, getting up at 4 in the morning regularly. I'm able to sleep in now. I also have had some chronic knee pain that is much better. I'm not wearing a brace every day. I definitely notice a change with my animals. I've lost a couple animals this last year, and there's been some changes, getting the hierarchy in my family with my animals, but there's a calming down and a more harmonious energy in my household. And my husband, who's a gardener, you would not believe what's going on in our backyard right now. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, it's helping. And I think it's helping me with Paul too, because all partners have edges. There's a lot more harmonious energy between us recently. So
Mm.
Great, thank you.
yeah. But I know people that have had chronic debilitating pain who are out of pain, and people who've not been able to sleep at all who are sleeping. And the people who have EMF sensitivities are just so relieved to be able to live their lives more freely again.
Mm.
But don't take my word for it. Give it a two-week try and see what happens for you. It's only $35 a month. Okay, does anybody else have anything to share in terms of sacred space? Cindy.
Well, I'm the low end on the totem pole of all of you guys. This week I had, and it's finding that space is very, very important. This week I had two sessions of introduction sessions, so they would ask, and we talk about what could possibly happen. They both involved men who are going through divorce. And I got to the problem of the problems they were having were some legal problems. So in one instance, this man had been divorced for over 15 years, I think, but he was still paying alimony, and his wife had put a lien on his ex-wife had put a lien on the house, and that tipped over the scales financially for his present wife and children, and yeah, and he was just going to see what he could do to have this lifted before he talked to me. My one thought was, well, okay, how old are the kids? Well, one of the kids was already in graduating from university, and the second one was in a full-time job. And I said, you're still paying alimony on your kids? I said, I'm sure that your divorce decrees limited when this ends. And he said, I don't think so. I said, well, I would go back and look at your divorce decree, because that's that problem. But he was feeling he couldn't go further because of this lien on the property and such. Now the second gentleman was just newly divorced. Well, what was in the process of separating, and the wife had kicked him out, and he could not see his children. It had been over a year, and he only got minutes to see his kids. And I kind of thought, I don't believe this. And then he said that she had put a charge against him, that he was mistreating her. And he said, I didn't do that. So I mean, so this guy was again in this. He says, I have to go to court to get this lifted before I can see my children again. And I thought, why am I being sent these, what I feel, legal battles that I can't help them out with? And that seemed to be what was stopping everything. And I guess I just want to ask, what do you do in that case when you don't see how you can help? You don't see that, you certainly can't do anything about the legality of it. In both instances, I really felt that, especially this gentleman, the second one, he talked about how he had been in the country for over 20 years and had a lot of friends, but he had just cut off all of his friends because he didn't want to say anything negative about his wife, even though it sounded like he could say a whole bunch negative about the wife, But he said that he was a good person. He never hurt anybody. He had all these friends that could vouch for him, and but you know, but then again, I've been in legal fights with, and you don't get a chance when you're in a divorce battle. The judge never says, "So what do you think, ma'am?" They don't ever ask what your side of the story is or the other. It's the two lawyers that are always arguing the case. And
Okay, so
it's a
you
very
can't help
unfair
that.
system. No,
Help,
no, it's a
but
very unfair system.
what you can help is the state that he's in while he's going
Okay,
through that process. His emotional state, his sense of
right.
self, his self-esteem, his betrayals, his grief, his anger, all of that stuff is what our job would be.
Yeah. Well, that's what I tried to tell him. I said, "You're a good person." I said, I would go to the kids, like he only would see the kids at school and only for a few minutes at a time because the wife has not let him in. And I thought, what, how can when he's paying the um, house payment, but he's not able to live in the house.
Mhm.
And, you
Well,
know,
that's
so,
between him and his attorney. That's between him.
well, exactly. And this is what he said to me. He says, well, I can't even worry about the divorce problem until after he gets seen again for this charge that his wife made against him. And it just kept on being put off and put off and put off. And I said, well, that's what they do.
Right. Well, how can you support him having a sense of being empowered and his own self-esteem? How can you support him with the grief?
Well, I told him, I said, you've got to open your door again to your friends. I said, you've got to have somebody telling you that you're lovable, that you're a good person, and you know, stop listening to the ex-wife.
Mhm.
I said, you know, you've got to work these things out, but you have to talk to your children. You know, and she said, he said, well, the oldest one is kind of on my wife's side, and the second one is, you know, on my side, but, you know, they want me back. And, you know, and I said, well, then you still have to keep that bond between your children. I don't care what it takes.
Well, what he really needs is to have that kind of connection with himself. See, I mean,
Yeah.
he could get the reflection from the people in his life that might think he's a good guy, but he's got to feel he's a good guy within himself to have that empowerment. So that's what the work is. Everything that he needs out there, he's got to deal with in here first. So that's what the focus needs to be if you're going to work with him. Help him help himself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I talked to him for quite a while, and then I want to write him back because, you know, he wasn't, truthfully, he wasn't going to pay for a session. I mean, he could barely get over the thing, but I felt like, you know, he needed help. He needed some sort of guidance, and
Well,
I was trying to give him that.
maybe somebody else has something to share about your perspective on this from your experience. Anybody else?
I'm just curious, what did he say he wanted from you? Did he say what he wanted from you?
Well, I have set out that family disputes, um, divorce, separation, mixed families, adoption is kind of what my specialty is, because in my total life, this is what I have been involved with a lot of, you know, different ways. And I feel this is where I want to be. And so in my, you know, they both said to me, I'm not feeling very good about myself. I'm not feeling that I have any help. And so I tried to you know, to give them that help, but I really felt gabsmacked, you know, by the legal thing where I know I don't have any right or way to approach that.
Well, you're helping him learn to help himself.
Okay.
So we don't want to have our clients dependent on us for help if we're really trying to do more transpersonal spiritual work along with the psychology. We want to help people hook up with their own resources and start to trust those resources. That's what's going to help him grow and heal. Not
Okay.
somebody going, "You're okay, I love you." That will help, but it's not going to really shift that inside psychology sense of self until he connects up with his own wisdom and his own knowing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything else to share about that?
I was just gonna say, Cindy, sometimes if I have the introductory call and it seems that there's a real, financial issue or whatever, I'll just take a little extra time and do just kind of a relaxation, like a little vacation. Sometimes they're so stressed out, getting that 5-minute vacation away from their mind is so helpful. And then they can decide if, maybe they do want to put some resources to this, because what is your
Yeah.
state of mind where, but to give them a little taste of it, and in seeing that, to really know just the power in meditation. There's so many things they can do on their own, or maybe I'll recommend an EFT YouTube that they can look at and do those things so that they're empowered and not looking externally, like Holly said. Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. My website is called My Safe Space for All, and actually that's one of the pieces that I always do with them is to talk about what their problem is and then take them into their safe space. And in both cases, I did get them to go in, and they both thanked me in the end. They both said that they got a lot out of it, but they still knew they had a lot of
Yeah.
places to go. And I didn't feel like I think I got them to that safe space, and I told them you can go there yourself, you can find that space and just, be peaceful and get a different thinking process. And they thanked me for that. It's just, I didn't feel successful in the end when I just kind of thought I didn't help them.
Well, and I think too, part of that what I like about it, if I'm still thinking about the client that end of the day or the next day, I know I'm still kind of attached in a way that maybe isn't as helpful to me or to them. And then I say, thank you, client, because that gives me a chance to do some of my own, things, because that definitely happens. And, sometimes you see something that just feels like they're in this, especially a legal thing, it just gets so twisted up, and there isn't anything we can do on that end. But we know in all of this work, all things are possible, and the most amazing things just fall out of the sky when we change our perspective. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's true. It's very true.
Cindy, can you hear me?
Yep.
I had something similar just recently, and one of my logo for my work is always come back to the center. So, as you were talking about your client with all the legal things, it's so easy for people to get caught up in that minutia and not even realize how off center that they are. So when I see that happen, and I said this to my client also, let's do something to get centered. So I shared with him, I have a meditation on my website. It's the relaxation response meditation. It's was created by Herbert Benson, Dr. Herbert Benson, who did a lot of studies about meditation, the physiological benefits of meditation. And so we did that. And then um, that helped him get a little bit more present. He was off thinking about all these other things, but it helped him to become a little bit more present. And so then the next level was he was talking, you could see all the emotion that was being stirred up. Um, and so the next thing that I suggested to him was I have a Ho'oponopono meditation also on my website. And I didn't walk him through that because our time was up, but he contacted me the next day and said he listened to that meditation and that it really helped him. And so when you're in relationships that are conflicting, that until we're centered, until we can understand the lessons, and even before we can understand the lessons, we can still send energy to ourselves. So the Ho'oponopono means to make doubly right. We're sending energy to ourselves. We're sending energy to the other. We don't have to know all of the details, but it helps discharge the energy. And what I find is, and this is the reason why my logo is always come back to the center, I find that until we are centered, we can't think straight. We're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. We'll learn from those mistakes eventually. But what I find is when I feel off center, my job is not to think about all of those things that are dragging me off center. It's to think about what I can do to get centered. So I'll have a conversation with somebody about that. What do you do? Because everybody's different, and any situation can, require different tools. So that's one of the things that I work on with my clients, is helping them be more centered.
Thank you.
And it makes me also wonder what his lessons are in those experiences. My specialty is in regression therapy, so I'm always thinking about cause and effect. And a lot of times people don't want to, or are blocked about seeing that, oh, like I think Holly mentioned this, that situation is mirroring back to him a place where he's separated from his own soul.
Mm-hmm.
Working on that can be very beneficial to him. May not have any effect on the legal stuff, but it'll help him deal with all of that stuff in a better way.
Well, it was interesting to talk to the gentleman, who had been, it was to me an old divorce that was causing all the problems, because it wasn't until we talked for quite a bit of time that he finally said, my marriage, my current marriage and my sons are feeling this, and this is where he was feeling bad. And he didn't consider that to be the first thing to talk to me about. It was about the ex-wife and the the money matter. But then in the end, he was talking about how he felt he was going to lose his second marriage and his kids, and that's what was really bothering him. But it took me
Yeah.
a long time to get, because he wasn't telling me about that. And when I finally found out, I said this is a 15-year-old marriage, and I said, divorce, and I said, look, some of these things should be already cleared out. And that's when he said, oh well, I remarried and I have these children, and I'm finding that I'm not close to them. And then I said, well, I think number one, you should make sure you talk to your kids, because I think they were 11 and 13. And I said, you should have a good relationship with them, and they'll understand that you're going through some problems. Talk to them about it, but build up a relationship again. Don't lose that relationship with your kids, because you have as much responsibility to them as you had to your first two children. And he agreed with me on that. And so that's kind of what I said, what I recommended, to just make sure that he was telling his kids that he loved them, and he was going through some tough times now, but it didn't mean that he didn't love them.
Good.
So we're going to have to cut out this part on our video because of confidentiality with clients.
Yes, of
Talking about,
course.
okay. It's
Mhm.
not appropriate for us to post this part of the event today.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they want to share before we have our closure? No. Please join us for our solstice. Bring something to share so we can create a celebration together. I'm going to end with a little poem, little prayer poem. It's called Flesh of the Heart. Spirit of breath, when the world numbs, soften us. Melt the armor we've built around our own tenderness. Guard us not with distance, but with discernment. Help us feel deeply without drowning. Let us carry pain without being consumed by it. Let us keep loving without illusion. May our hearts of flesh remain responsive, vulnerable, and true. So be it. Thank you all for sharing and for being with us tonight, and hope to
Thank
see
you.
next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
Thanks for all your
everyone.
input, folks. It's wonderful.
Great
Thanks,
stuff.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you at the solstice. Bye bye.
Yeah.